self either. Okay, thank you very much, Andrew. And so we are starting week number 82, the last IGU summit of the year 2022. As always, I do like to start these events by acknowledging those who came before us on this land. So I do say a land acknowledgement. So we begin today by acknowledging that we walk upon the traditional territories of Indigenous peoples, and we recognize their history, spirituality, culture, and stewardship of the land. We're grateful to all Indigenous groups for their commitment to protect the land and its resources, and we're committed to reconciliation, partnership, and enhanced understanding. We acknowledge the land we are meeting on here in the Greater Toronto Area is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Wendat, Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe peoples, and is now home to many diverse peoples. We'd also like to acknowledge the land we are on here is at the meeting place of two treaties, the lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit and those of the First Nations of the Williams Treaty. We thank them and other Indigenous peoples for sharing this land with us. We also acknowledge and recognize all of the world's Indigenous peoples as stewards of Mother Earth. I do also like to say Sawubona, which means I see you, I see myself in you, I see your hopes, your dreams, and your struggles. I see your ancestors as well, because interconnectedness does not end with two people who are greeting each other. It extends to include the ancestors. All beings and Mother Nature are interconnected. There is no sense of being separate. I see myself in all beings, and therefore, if I harm other beings or Mother Nature, it translates into harming myself. Before I mention events coming up, I wanted to mention that just 9 days ago, on Tuesday, December 20th, we did our Drawdown Markham regular monthly virtual meeting, which was also our final wrap-up meeting of 2022. The event included a year-end review, a discussion about accomplishments, responsibilities, areas to develop, as well as strengths and priorities. We had a roadmap caucus and looked to the future, 2023 and beyond, and discussed our partnerships with UnityNet and the Ad Hoc International Advisory Board of Goodwill Ambassadors. Our special guest speaker was intended to be Zach Steele from brandswan.com Digital Marketing and Creative Design Agency based in Vaughan, Ontario. Zach also created the Big Pitch Digital Marketing Group, a Toronto-based ad agency that specializes in the branding, copywriting, social media campaigns, website design, and top organic ranking of websites. Unfortunately, Zach ran out of battery on his phone and was not able to do his presentation for us, but we will bring him back on to do a presentation in the new year. Zach wanted to talk about with us the Big Pitch Environmental Forum, a local York Region and Greater Toronto Innovation Tech Trades Forum, and this event he wants to do in 2023, where we hope we can do this event in October next year as our own in-person Climate Smart Youth Forum 2023, possibly in partnership with Seneca College, York University, and others in the Greater Toronto Area and Canada, possibly even in partnership with SDSN Canada and perhaps even UNGC Canada as well. Zach also wanted to talk to us about the environmental necessity for events at religious temples, churches, and houses of worship as ways for people in communities to set examples for other residents to follow in their footsteps. Zach will also introduce our Drawdown Markham members to an innovation program that's being delivered by the Canadian government called the Canada Digital Adoption Program, where we will get more information about this in the new year. Zach also wanted to outline for us the various digital marketing strategies that can be used by local small businesses. We also discussed parts of our Drawdown Markham and UnityNet GTA plan for 2023 that revolves around 4 key community engagement activities in 2023, which we would like to do in April, June, August, and October. I'll go into more details later in this presentation. I do want us to mention a few events that are coming up. But before, let's see, today is Thursday, December 29th, 2022. It is week 82 of our IGU Summit series, the last of the IGU Summit events for 2022. So this will be a bit of a wrap-up session for us for the past 81 weeks. But before we get going, I do want to mention the International Day of Epidemic Preparedness, which took place on Tuesday, December 27th. The day is especially important in consideration of the COVID crisis. That is something we just went through for the past few years, where some, like in China, are still in the midst of it. We could potentially align ourselves with this day as well, and say that the work that UnityNet is doing is helping to advance epidemic preparedness. I'd also like to mention Kwanzaa, the annual celebration of African American culture from December 26th to January 1st, which we are now in the middle of. So this culminates in a communal feast called Karamu, usually on the 6th day. It was created by activist Malanga Karenga, based on African harvest festival traditions from various parts of West and Southeast Africa. The first Kwanzaa was celebrated in 1966 and 67, has been celebrated from December 26th to January 1st ever since then. So the name Kwanzaa is derived from a Swahili phrase, Matunda ya Kwanza, meaning first fruits. Coming up at the end of the week, of course, is New Year's Day, January 1st of 2023. And New Year's Day is unofficially known as National Hangover Day. And some other unofficial events also coming up include January 2nd, the National Science Fiction Day, National Thank God Day, or Thank God It's Monday Day, January 3rd, J.R.R. Tolkien Day, Festival of Sleep Day, and the International Mind Body Wellness Day, as well as January 4th, Trivia Day and National Spaghetti Day, along with finally National Bird Day of January 5th, possibly the most important one for what we are doing. I will share some additional information for everybody to find out more information about these days in the chat. Just for people's information, there are some interesting events that are recognized in some countries and by some people on different things that people want to be able to remember, not just the mainstream events, but all of these sort of side events, as you might call them. And so we can try to promote some of those that may align with what we are doing as well. And so these holidays that we are trying to recognize, such as Global Cooperation Day on October 4th, are also those that are something that we want to make sure that people are aware of, and perhaps even at some point have the UN recognize them. So when we recognize others and these other events that are created by certain organizations, if they align with the mandate of and the message that we're trying to convey, this is important for us to be doing as well. Before we start today, I'd also like to announce our new latest groups, including the UnityNet Open Knowledge Network. So there was a new WhatsApp group, along with some LinkedIn and Facebook groups created for this network, which I believe is very important for our moving forward in 2023. There is also the new UnityNet Climate Smart Plastic Network. Again, a WhatsApp group, a Facebook group, and a professional network was created for this, along with the third one being the UnityNet Blockchain Network, again created just recently with Sean Mukocheya from UnityNet Zambia as the co-administrator. And I am putting again into the chat of the Zoom window. As for our participants today, some additional information about blockchain technology. But with today's presentation, I'd like to start with the simple introduction of who I am and who we are. But I will defer that until we have at least introduced some of our participants today, as agreed with Andrew. So thank you, Andrew, and I'd like to ask if anybody on the call today would like to introduce themselves, possibly starting officially with Emmanuel, who had said a few words earlier.
Emmanuel, can you hear us? And if not, I think William Dashin was here first. So William, would you like to take this opportunity to introduce yourself?
Oh yes, I want to say happy Christmas.
Oh, okay.
And I want to wish you a prosperous new year. And I want to greet you all. Thanks for attending today's session. It is my privilege and honor to be here around this time. Lloydie, I'm so happy for the commitment, the encouragement, and for being so articulate to this occasion. I really learned so much, and I appreciate much that I expect much to be done in come 2023. Thank you so much, sir, for the efforts. Mr. Andrew was inspired by the comments over my last week's presentation. It really gave me morale, and I'm pushing forward until something positive is done in my community and in the entire globe. I'm so happy. I want to wish you nice deliberations. And I think the way we focus our agenda, things will work out right across the world. We need a better place to live in, full of peace, joy, happiness, and prosperity. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. But please take this opportunity to explain to our audience what it is you are doing as you did earlier. And if you can briefly share your video, if it's not too much, but this is a visual medium, but if not, we understand. And you do have the ability to share your screen briefly if you choose, but please tell us about your organization and your efforts. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm just very sorry. My screen is not nice because the type of laptop is something that is very cheap, but it works some other work of typing and editing. Now, when it comes to Zoom, where we are heading to, I think it is not nice. I am thinking otherwise. So if some friends can support me, please help me. I need to get a better laptop. Okay, my name is William Prosper. I'm based in Uganda, a teacher by profession. And I moved this profession into helping my community. So through a series of engagements and the experience from my community, I've encountered a variety of challenges and issues with my colleagues in Africa, particularly in Uganda, western part of Uganda, Bunyoro region. So I came up with a concept or an idea of starting a community-based organization in the names of STEAM, the light for women and youth in the African community, where we look at skilling and providing hands-on skills for self-help to the women and the youth, those who didn't have a chance to succeed in education. So we give them there is hope. Yes, you didn't graduate maybe with a bachelor's, you didn't do any certificate, but when you train with us, you're going to get relevant skills. They're not just relevant skills, but we empower awakening of the innate potential of each individual, especially when it comes to the youth. Most times you pursued maybe engineering and you find the course you pursued at the university. When you come in the community, you have nothing to do. So we help to work around that. Even people who have got what to do, sometimes they lack some skills here and there. So we can address all such issues. Why I joined this group was because the chapters they handle, especially the culture and the environment, are key, are part and parcel of our trades we do handle. Environment is very key as far as our survival is concerned. So we don't neglect ecosystem. We don't neglect anything to do with the environment. It is the twin sister with us. So we address it so much. So I came to this to meet Mr. Lloyd. When I met him, I was so glad to move forward these discussions. And I know we are moving in the right directions because I have personally my personal thoughts and ideas and experience that I've learned. I think I shared last time in the video clips where we are using organic matter, using human fecal matter, generating products out of it, and that was making a compost manure, making very nourishing soils that can be used to grow vegetables and other crops. And I say that is a very good resource that should be tapped into. Then the other thing in our approach, we don't talk about the problems. No, we are saying every individual you see, provided it is not you, that is an opportunity that should be tapped into. So that's why we went down to the women, because women here have got historical challenges that if they are empowered somewhere, they are catalyzed somewhere to raise up, this will put their potential and the development of the community, not all of the community, but of Uganda and the Africa at large in the different perspective and horizon. Because the key stakeholders in development have always been neglected. They don't engage so much in policies, they don't engage so much in politics, even in the region, they don't have a lot of influence. But when you go on grassroots, you find they do a lot of cores that contribute to the development. So we say when we give them power, okay, we don't give them power, we inform them. Should they realize that they have that ability that they can change and form the world they want to see tomorrow, then things will change. So this changes the perspective at how a girl looks at life. She's not just a mere girl to be married off. No, she's that positive, a fundamental agent that can create a desirable world we want to see. We live in this developing, we call it, I always hear third world. Actually, we are third and sad in the world. So we want to get out of that orientation. We move to the levels. We hear about, let me see, Dubai is a very great city. We hear this and that. We have not moved. I personally have not moved abroad, but I can watch documentaries. And when you meet people like people now we are meeting here, I know you have good experience over in your countries. Such things I really aspire and desire to see. Such things happening here. We have a lot of resources. We have good water. We have good weather. We have good fertile soils. And the population is growing. All these, I don't call them problems. I know most people will address them as problems, but all these are opportunities. That what we only miss is an investment that is fundamentally able to make them be realized. So the good water we have, what should we do with that water? The fertile soils we have, should we remain malnourished? So we have remained malnourished because the people engaged in productivity are not educated. They are not oriented in what is supposed to be done. So when a woman is empowered, I hear it is not only just a community empowered, no, it is the world that is empowered. I can imagine women from my community, as far as my community, are interacting, sharing ideas, positive ideas with women from California, women from Canada, women from France. How can this be? I know I always interact with some ladies from abroad, white women. You see, they are very articulate, they are very bold, they are very confident, they can present. How I feel about my ladies here, my sisters, my mothers, my aunties here, can raise up that level. I think things can move. Things can move. That's why I came up to join this platform. And I had my feeling about environment, because this is what I've grown seeing. Yes, I saw some little things. I'm not so much aged. I'm just 35 years, but I have some experience and exposure I have experienced in my community. And the way things are moving, one, we are malnourished. Then two, we have interventions that come forth and they're not helping us, but they are sugar-coated. You get a lot of money in the shortest time and people run into search. But no, we are saying we can't go like that and we change the world. We have to be systematic. We have to have order. So the integration of the ecosystem into all our activities have to be embraced holistically. I'm calling it sustainable usage. So when people talk about environmental conservation, we can't conserve environment because we need to survive. Even historically, people were hunting foods and fruits from the wild. So the wild has been invaded by clearing it off, and bringing in new species of maybe crops and the trees. And this is having a very detrimental impact on the environment, detrimental impact on the living organisms, because there are those organisms we don't see physically, but they are very, very important in the ecosystem. So we address all such fields. So I'm so much pleased to be here. I can stop here for now. I'm just blessed to be in this family. It is a wonderful family. I think we shall have more talk with Mr. Andrew. I was very, very encouraged by the feedback. Lloyd, thank you so much for the feedback. I'm just sorry for the quality of my video. Yeah, it is just a cheap laptop I had. It was for emergency because the work I would do was to go to need someone to ask, help me with your computer, I type something, assist me with your computer, I type something. So someone helped me out and bought me a very cheap computer, laptop. Now this is the one that I'm using to connect to Zoom. But I think as we move to modernity, we need to improve this. Maybe before I forget, I may not get this other chance. I'll be running my Go Back to School campaign where I help kids. I don't just help them that giving them books, no. I have to talk to them. Why should they go to school? When they are going to school, how should they think? Because the education system we have does not allow us to think about our communities. So should one be able to realize what is the opportunity in my community when I'm in school? Where should I put my focus? What is driving me? What is my calling in me? When I look over my community, where I pass when I'm coming, is there a cry to make good hospitals? Is there a cry that I can be a better engineer? Is there a cry that I can make a better school? So those are things that when I have to meet them, these are some of the things I have to talk about. Not forgetting about our environment. I need to tickle their minds. They start thinking about what should be done with the plastic materials we have and how should we manage our environment. I know these are change agents wherever they are. And when they hear these interactions, I know we are going to further better the interactions in the future. So please, if it is okay for you, you can go with me. We provide books, but we give them talk shows, provide books, sanitary pads. In the future, I have a plan of teaching them how to make reusable sanitary pads using locally available materials. That's the level we are heading to. So in future, I expect that I will not be asking for sanitary pads. We shall just have the machines, then we are making the items we provide to them. So we give shoe cream and some shoes, toothpaste and toothbrush, shoe cream, jelly, and so forth. Those little things we provide to the kids. So anything you provide us, you help a child, a girl will be in school, a boy will be in school, and this will create a smile on the face of the Ugandan kid or child. And these are great future agents. We entrust our. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Make sure you put your contact information in the chat. And if you're capable, you may share your website or other contact information. And at a later point, perhaps we can come during the Q&A session to actually share your screen with some presentation that you may have, if we have the time. But thank you so much very much. And this is Andrew Williams Jr. Let me take this opportunity to thank Lloyd for hosting this. I think we're now in our second year, going to our third. And I'm committed to carry this through 2023. I am Andrew Williams Jr. I'm Googleable as such, as is the Andrew Networks. I got my start online in 2029 as a Goodwill Ambassador, a Facebook Goodwill Ambassador. But I've been championing the Millennium Development Goals since 2000, and I'm now championing the Sustainable Development Goals as we go forward to leave no one behind. So I do want to thank Lloyd for being one of our, what we call our AHIABGA network. That's the ad hoc Goodwill, ad hoc international board of Goodwill ambassadors, advocates, and activists. So we do have a Facebook group, the AHIABGA network, where events like this are live streamed. So it can always be accessed just by going to facebook.com /groups/AHIABGA network or Encounter Think Tank or AHIABGA-TV network. We're available in all those places. So thank you so much. And I'll turn it back over to you, Lloyd.
Thank you, Andrew. And if anybody else would like to introduce themselves at this point, you are able to unmute yourself. I'll ask William perhaps if he could also mute himself at this point. And if anybody else, as I said, would like to say a few words, and seeing William that you are unmuting yourself.
Yes.
If you want to turn on your video, that'd be great as well.
Okay, one moment.
There it is.
Greetings, everyone from
Thanks for joining
Canada.
us.
I see we have some people from Africa. All I can say is I've known Lloyd for a while, and my company in 2023 will now be 30 years old. And the essence of our business is in providing low-cost pure water with clean energy and value-added agriculture. By the grace of God and hard work, we've developed a global network of business associates, equipment, and technology providers to provide the equipment, technology, and know-how to integrate the three things that I mentioned. We have over $5 billion worth of projects to deliver in Africa. In agriculture, we're interested in working on developing opportunities and producing food for humans and animals. And the latest exciting project that we have is to use agriculture to produce energy. We are now engaged in developing large tracts of land to develop green coal, which will be an alternative to mined coal. Africa is has an opportunity like it's never had in the history of mankind to become the breadbasket to the global economy. And I look forward to working with the people in Lloyd's organization and in Africa with people that can add value to the business. So I put my contact information in chat. If anybody wants to get a hold of me to know more, please send me an email or WhatsApp. I'll be pleased to work with you. Thank you. And we're coming up to a very busy 2023. We're in times of brisk change and many challenges. And with many challenges and brisk changes come opportunities. So let's get to work.
We're already working, but we do look forward to finding out more about what you're doing. Please feel free to put, if you have a website, et cetera, to put it in the chat. And again, after Lloyd's presentation, we'll have an opportunity perhaps to share your screen with any visual that you'd like to share with us or schedule a time in the future. But thank you so much, William. And personally, I look forward to working and networking with you. I'm working with a team in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, focusing on agricultural solutions. So I do hope we can find ways to work and network together. Thank you so much.
Sounds good. Thank
Back
you.
to you, Lloyd.
All right. Thank you, William. If anybody else would like to say a few words, I'm seeing Emmanuel.
Yes. Yeah, I think I would love to, I've gotten his contact. I would love to connect with him because like I said earlier, I'm into agriculture. I try to see how we can encourage young people to get into agriculture. So we provide them digital solutions.
Start by saying your name and where you're from,
oh,
please.
Sorry.
And if you have an organization,
so sorry.
and then continue.
Yeah.
No worries. We're all in this together.
My apologies. Apologies. My name is Emmanuel Abusen. I'm from Nigeria, but currently I'm in Rwanda. So I run my business in East Africa and also West Africa, which is Nigeria. And the name of my business is Trema Agro Services Limited. So it's an agro ecosystem that supports agricultural innovations. So we're into food production, training also for young people. We're trying, like I said, we are trying to see how we can encourage young people into agriculture. So we provide trainings, digital training, so that is online and on-site trainings to young people. So when he mentioned what he's trying to do in agriculture, I felt like, okay, wow, good. This is another aspect of, this is an opportunity I can tap into to see how we can encourage young people to participate in agriculture. And also my business provide a reality TV show for young people. So by next year, we're going to have our first edition in Rwanda, where we're going to have young people participate in AgroVest reality TV show. It's just like The Apprentice in US and UK. because Africa currently, a lot of young people want to go into entertainment. They want to be on social media. So we're like, okay, good. Let's use that same platform to catch their attention and bring them into agriculture. So the program is going to run for 60 days, and then we're looking at a winning prize of 20 million Rwanda francs, which is 20,000 US dollars as a winning prize for the TV show. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you again. Make sure you put your contact information in the chat. And if you do have a chance at the end of Lloyd's presentation, feel free to share at least your screen or presentation of the website. But it's Jenny Carrington, as I understand, that you're working with. She's also part of our extended team. She had a chance to visit us here in Los Angeles. I'm also president of 5pointsyouthfoundation.org. So she had an opportunity to visit us here, and along with Sir Bailey, who's also a part of our extended team, and Jenny Young at the same time. So we look forward to working with you and networking with you going forward. Back to you, Lloyd.
All right. Thank you so much, Andrew, for also mentioning these key people who are part of our extended network of the UnityNet. We are working closely with them. And actually, for many years, it's been a long journey to get us to where we are right today. But we have many, many friends. Some are more in front of the camera, some are less, but we're all working toward a common vision. So if we have no further people that would like to say any opening statements at this time, I will start. Patrick, I noticed that you are unmuted.
Yes. Hello, everyone, and good evening to you all from Malawi here. Our time now is around to 7, so it's dark. You can't see me clearly, but
I can't see you at all, actually.
Yes. Otherwise, I just wanted to say hi to everyone, and also maybe to say that I'm always happy to be part of this, this UnityNet organization from all over the world. It has been there. So I've been attending to this IGU summit for almost a year now, or else from last year up to now. So it's been wonderful. I've been happy with the programs that have been shared through this network. So I'm so happy, and I say thank you, Lloyd, for coming up with this program in IGU summits that have been helped a lot of people, and myself in particular. And also again, allow me to also appreciate the platform that Prince Andrew has been sharing with us all the way, from all those months, years, times we have been together in this platform, sharing Zoom. So yeah, it's been wonderful that we interact now and again. Yes, actually my name is Patrick Nkoma. I'm here in Malawi. I also run a private organization which we call Trial Life Foundation, which is an organization to do with the young people, more especially the learners, the students, local public students. So that's why Prosper, I was like commenting on your statement to say, no, I also did the same go back to school campaign with the learners here. It has been wonderful, and I could see a number of learners now going back to school with support that we have been giving them, and then some other people also have been also helping them through their education through this one go back to school campaign. Yeah, so that was what I wanted to share. But currently, I'm also a project director for UnityNet African Diaspora for UNAD, project director, as well as chapter president for UnityNet Malawi. So that is all I wanted to share with you. Thank you so much. And I wish you all the best as we interact into this presentation. Right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Patrick.
Back to you, Lloyd.
Okay, so I think at this point I shall share my screen. Let me just maximize my presentation, and we will, unless anybody else would like to introduce themselves at this point, I will share my screen and we will move forward. I have not done this presentation for a while, so there were actually many additions over the past few weeks and months that I never really got a chance to go through. So hopefully everybody is able to see the screen at this point. Need to make sure that I am visible as well. Again, welcome to the 82nd week of the Indigenous Global Unity Summit event. We are moving forward with the assistance of Andrew Networks to do these on a weekly basis every Thursday morning, starting at approximately 11 a.m. Eastern Time, Toronto, where I am located. What I'd like to do is first introduce myself. My name is Lloyd Halferty, co-founder of UnityNet International. I'm also the Chief Ecosystem Director, Program Development Director, and a Sustainable Society Consultant for AHIABGA University, which is headquartered in Manhattan, New York, in the US. I'm located, however, in the city of Markham, in the Don River watershed and German Mills Creek subwatershed, specifically, which drains into Lake Ontario, the lowest and the last of the North American Great Lakes in the Greater Toronto area of Southern Ontario, here in Canada, North America, which is also known as Turtle Island. So AHIABGA University is a private 501(c)(3) non-profit company in New York, a member of the UN Global Compact, and a UN academic impact member and partner. It is a virtual university created to help empower global populations to reestablish a sustainable balance with their local environments. We do this by designing and implementing projects that support a strong and diversified local economy, while integrating the core sustainable technologies and infrastructure into these communities in the areas of renewable energy, high-density food growth solutions, and systems for sustainably managing local waste streams and protecting local water resources. We are supported by over 375 companies whose products and technologies we employ. Importantly, AHIABGA University supports local education and training in the construction, deployment, and maintenance of all of the various integrated solutions for achieving these closed-loop systems that in turn support self-sufficient, sustainable communities. Today, I would like to go into more details about what it is that AHIABGA University expects to happen as we begin to assist with projects in local communities, anywhere in the world where people might wish to do them. I wanted to remind our audience that AHIABGA University is a charitable organization, a 501(c)(3) nonprofit. As such, we do not and legally cannot profit from our projects, aside from covering the costs of operating and hiring the people we need to create the projects with our project partners. We are not looking to compensate anyone for land or an opportunity to help them create a community project that in the end they will own. We can help to provide the facility construction support and of course the education and training expertise along with the project development support that will allow your community members and local entrepreneurs to create the solutions required, whether it is here in Canada or in Africa or anywhere else in the world. We do not, however, intend to pay for that opportunity. We can also help our partners find money for your own local project if you are willing to put up the land and find some of the financing on your end as well. As of this moment, we know of no other organization or effort other than some international agencies that are aware of that will come in and gift such an effort to a school or a community or a country outright. We know that UN financing goes through governments and is top down and tends to be corrupted in many ways. So we are working from the grassroots level, but there needs to be buy-in and material participation on the part of the partner for any charitable organizations and philanthropic entities to contribute to completing the funding and implementation of any local projects. This is particularly true if the project is designed for a school or other private organization and is not direct funding to a government of your country. So our work also includes partnership with the UNDP, and we are getting the participation of the countries directly. We are also able to look for matching funding in the US, where Energym University is incorporated, especially from groups who are interested in supporting such projects. But if those entities don't see material buy-in from the partnering entity in places like Africa or in Indigenous communities, they will have no interest in funding such an effort. The mindset they have is that if the partner isn't willing to contribute to the local solution, they must not be committed to the project. So everyone we work with puts up the land. After all, they will own the projects when they are completed. But we do not and will not pay our partners for something our partners will ultimately own themselves. We're here to help and provide all the project direction and implementation expertise for those essential projects, and we are committed to seeing them done all over the world. But we need partners who are at least equally committed to the success of these projects in their own local communities. So the benefit of the Energym University programs is that any community that builds them will also have a local training center that will regularly graduate the next generation of high-tech farmers. We'll also extend our efforts into retraining farmers throughout the community and throughout the country as well. But the key is the community involvement, which may include a combination of local organizations, schools, government agencies, which is one of the main reasons why UnityNet is building our empowerment networks globally. So again, in the chat, you'll find more information about myself. As well, there's a link to an Energym University website that defines the methodology for education and training around the specific areas of focus, which are renewable energy, sustainable agriculture, farming and food production, water management, waste management, and economic growth and expansion through regenerative climate smart solutions. I'm copying into the chat our related programs to UnityNet, which is the Science for Peace COSWAC Climate Smart Food program, and related links that we have for that program, which we are leveraging through UnityNet in order to educate and train people in these various climate smart regenerative solutions. So again, you will find additional links to, for instance, the CSF concept originally developed in 2015, as well as the original Science for Peace organization, and links to COSWAC, the Sustainability Working Group. So I do want to mention as well, I'm also the co-founder and administrator of the We Energym Global Cooperation Turtle Island International Civil Society Organization. We are seeking to undertake what we call life value peace education done in the context of life learning gardens. We continue to promote this important concept of life value peace education through the Global Unity Network. Again, you will find additional information in the chat and a link to the Energym Global Cooperation Turtle Island organization. So I was also designated, as mentioned earlier, as a Goodwill Ambassador for the 5 Points Youth Foundation in Los Angeles, with a portfolio that covers Canada, La Francophonie, the Commonwealth of Nations, and Turtle Island communities. As a member of the Ad Hoc International Advisory Board of Goodwill Ambassadors and Activists, or AHIABGA, we are continuing to seek to empower our communities to engage with royal, indigenous, and tribal leadership, as well as helping local communities establish interfaith neighborhood academic and business collaboratives, or INAB collaboratives, that will come together, pledge to support all the local humanitarian entrepreneurs who are localizing the global goals, starting, of course, with the Sustainable Development Goals, which we are also seeking ways to leave no one behind. again, in the chat, you will find connections to the ad hoc International Advisory Board of Goodwill Ambassadors. I'd also like to give recognition again to our supporters and sponsors, but in particular, Andrew Networks, our door opening network of the Global Unity Network. Our network of networks, or UnityNet, is hosting our weekly Thursday Zoom calls as today, committed to take place again through December 2023. Andrew Networks is also hosting additional events like the Youth Peace Week events of our Drawdown Markham monthly events as well, doing promotional support services. They do rebroadcast any production-ready presentations or other citizen media with the themes of localization, re-indigenization, resilience, local implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. They'll do this on AHIABGA.org domain, redirected to a number of other social media sites such as UCIT-TV, and others. So Andrew Networks is a brand and domain name owned by Parks TC Export Trading Company, comprising the various social media channels like TRN TV, Universal Citizens Media Networks, Conversations with Andrew Williams Jr., and many more. Andrew Networks is not only our primary sponsor supporting these promotional ecosystem for UnityNet, the Indigenous Global Unity Summits, which continue to the end of 2023. Andrew is also what we call our yes, yes, yes partner, helping to open doors so that members of our network are able to discover their inner selves and passions, where Andrew Networks is working with the people who occupy the various nodes of our global unity network so they can come together with the people of the network acting like a net to support the dreams of our members so that they can leverage their passions and transform their visions of a better future for themselves and their communities into a reality that makes sense for both themselves and the community members, however they might define what that better future is collectively as they seek to work together in partnership and leave no one behind. So again, in the chat, you will find additional links to Andrew Networks. In this case, I am also including some additional connections and information to the relevant networks. So the Global Unity Network we are creating, also known as UnityNet, is our main network. The purpose of the network and the business is to help others succeed through the partnerships as per SDG 17 in collectively achieving sustainable and regenerative communities, implementing all 17 SDGs where possible, as well as taking local climate action, SDG 13, to achieve drawdown, especially through the production of the regenerative climate smart food in all of our local communities, not just here in Ontario, in the Greater Toronto area, but also all across Canada and worldwide, globally, where we can begin to solve the climate crisis one meal at a time, and one family and local community at a time. So the Global Unity Network, UnityNet, is being created globally to support local community interventions through our UnityNet and AHIABGA community engagement processes that ultimately result in local community enterprises, or SMEs, run by local humanitarian entrepreneurs, where both the enterprise and the teams that are running these enterprises, these local businesses, are investment ready, are able to successfully execute and create local businesses in a way that will generate sustainable revenues, hopefully profits for the business and for the local community members as well, through systems of regenerative financing that will be done at the local and regional and national and even international levels through the community partnership cooperative entities of the local networks that are also part of and a member of UnityNet, where the local networks, these INAV collaboratives, also serve as the local empowerment teams for the local entrepreneurs, so they can achieve business success in their own local community and or regional and or nationally, and potentially even internationally as they grow their business, selling the various regenerative goods and services that they produce that also benefit their community, benefit humanity, and benefit what we call all our relations, Mother Nature, by helping to achieve the global goals regeneratively through the activities of their community-based cooperative businesses, their localized enterprise. Our philosophy is that only we ourselves can help ourselves, because your job in life is not to sit back and watch the show. Your job is to conceive the story, write the script, produce it, direct it, and star in it. So you should be the best you can, inspire others to shine their brightest as well. So it is our responsibility to be knowledgeable, to be confident in what we do, because it is what we create and what we produce and sell that matters. As professional development coach Tom Harris said recently, the best and fastest way to learn something is to teach it. Do not wait until you know it, all about it, or have mastered what you wish to share before you begin to share it. The world needs more of what you wish to learn more of. So don't worry so much about what you don't know. Worry about what you don't do. You are depriving people of your knowledge and wisdom while you are waiting to become an expert. I would like to say the message of UnityNet involves a change in the paradigm of our dialogue as well, because we must always remember that we are fighting with peace and not for it, which means using higher consciousness in achieving our objectives. We're not fighting a war with each other to save the planet. We're making peace with the planet to save ourselves. And this new strategy has been called the Gaia's Guitar Strategy. Again, Jenny Carrington is one of the leaders on this concept. We will allow this concept, which will allow us to create a shared consciousness with peacemaking that is more contagious than fear and war. The message that will be created is centered around the 4 elements and symbols of peace that we wish to incorporate into every local community of UnityNet. And these include the youth peace gardens established in each local community that have the tree of peace and reconciliation planted in the garden, along with an Indigenous unity flag raised in a location nearby, along with a peace pole erected in a conspicuous location with high foot traffic within or next to the garden. So these are the symbols of the UnityNet Peace Garden Network, which also includes the community Unity Garden Learning Centers, which allow us to create sacred spaces in all our local communities, which can be mapped onto our UnityNet sacred site and watershed map, and are symbolic of the community of humanity coming together in peace, reconciliation, and forgiveness, and the restoration of our relationship with Mother Earth and each other, because this is the only way that we will be able to ensure that all of humanity and all our relations will be able to survive in the climate of the future. Again, in the tab, you will find additional links. So UnityNet International is the organization that we started. I am the co-founder of this global unity network, the UnityNet, being established by UnityNet International, or UNI, which helped to create UnityNet Africa and Diaspora, and all of these other global groups in Asia and the Americas and Europe. So we are a network of people and organizations supporting the AHIABGA UnityNet process of localization of the global goals, currently, of course, the SDGs, and the global transition to what we call a globalized, productive, compassionate, collaborative, regenerative economy that leaves no one behind. So we're creating a global empowerment network of professionals in regenerative development to support all of our members, including the female and feminist humanitarian entrepreneurs who are helping to implement the various local regenerative climate smart solutions that are required to achieve this productive, compassionate, collaborative, regenerative economy that leaves no one behind. The humanitarian entrepreneurship is really defined as a social enterprise that focuses on the delivery of the various solutions for achieving the sustainable development goals or the global goals locally. So UnityNet has a mandate to educate our youth so they know how to build this regenerative climate smart infrastructure in all of their own local communities. So our role at UnityNet is to establish these hybrid infrastructure that are necessary for delivering the learning programs, the education and training that provides all these local humanitarian entrepreneurs with the appropriate knowledge, tools, and processes that they need to help implement these global goals, currently these SDGs, doing it locally within their own communities with the overarching goal of leaving no one behind. So it's important to note that the existing social media we're using, the WhatsApp, Facebook, and LinkedIn groups that we're using are being used as a placeholder as we build the global Unity network, prepare to launch, where we'll eventually get all of our people, our companies, our nodes of our network onto this Interchange for Peace VCN, where they'll be able to gain access to many tools and services that are available there, where they can much more easily collaborate in order to locally implement all of these globally coordinated real-world events, projects, enterprises, and infrastructure. So one of our key goals in 2023 should be to begin to getting our members, starting with our key stakeholders and members of the UnityNet support networks, our administrators, onto this Interchange for Peace VCN, which will likely first be hosted on the Easy Expo platform as a key element of our network of networks, this virtual metaverse trading spaces for the virtual local and regional trade shows. On our final UnityNet Interchange for Peace, we do also wish to include a virtual student union spaces that help to empower young people and learners at all ages, a community investment and exchange system, a platform for the establishment of local neighborhood empowerment networks, especially of local multi-home communities in cities around the world, a UnityNet Dreamworks virtual space linked to digital billboards in the community, as well as a regenerative financing platform for the infrastructure, for the projects, for the humanitarian cooperative enterprise, financing for the members of UnityNet who join the Interchange for Peace VCN. So UnityNet International does plan to eventually bring all of our components together on our Interchange for Peace VCN, but this is going to be a long-term project, working also with Energem University, the Sustainable Development Association in Montreal, the E7 Architecture Studio, and Carbon Shot Earth. So you will find, again, links to our network in the chat. So the UnityNet was also created to showcase global cooperation for the implementation of the local regenerative solutions to achieving the global goals, starting with these 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So our purpose is really to help uplift the traditionally marginalized communities that are mostly being left behind because the existing economic paradigm very much focused on making money for those who are already wealthy by extracting resources through the exploitation or over-exploitation of people in the natural world. And therefore, the majority of people on Earth are mostly being ignored by our existing highly competitive economy. So our focus is on the billions of people who exist or subsist on the economic sidelines, where we intend to start our work by helping local communities deliver the various local regenerative and climate smart enterprise solutions that people and communities in some of these least developed countries, communities, and local economies require in order to thrive. As the entry point, we are focused again, in particular, on those communities that are the most food insecure. So again, you'll find some links in the chat. So UnityNet is promoting delivery of a suite of practical solutions to achieving the global goals, starting with the SDGs during this period until 2030. We're focused on using the tools of humanitarian entrepreneurship, focusing on the female and feminist humanitarian entrepreneurs and their enterprises, or the FFHE, using hybrid virtual and hands-on education and training and learning programs, platforms, and curricula, with a primary focus on delivery of the various humanitarian entrepreneurship skills training in these practical settings, practically, along with leveraging various open source regenerative climate smart infrastructure solutions to remotely assist local INAP collaborative teams establish these collaborative open source Unity Garden classrooms in all of their local communities across Africa and around the world. So the Unity Garden classrooms are set up in collaboration with existing schools in local communities. They can be used for the local and remote and virtual delivery of these practical learning programs for all of those FFHE members, so they can learn how to grow, process, cook, market, sell, and trade the various types of regenerative climate smart food and related nutritional, medicinal, and other types of locally produced regenerative products, both within their own local communities, as well as regionally, nationally, continentally, and even internationally, in order to produce income and greater prosperity for themselves and for the people in their own local local communities. We're wanting to do this for all people on all continents with, again, the intention and goal of leaving no one behind. You will find in the chat some additional links, for instance, to the Smart Cities Network and the related Eco Village Network, which has as a related network, Unity Hemp Network, again, as mentioned by William earlier about production of the energy as well, which can come from the production of these various non-food related products by the Eco Village masters, you might say. So again, you'll find as well a new group, a UnityNet Food Loss and Waste, is one of our new networks. Again, the UnityNet AHIABGA process of localization of the global goals is intended to help everyone in each of their own local communities establish these local teams of humanitarian entrepreneurs, as well as the local community empowerment teams, the INAB collaboratives, that will provide support and ensure the success of the local cooperative humanitarian enterprises and entrepreneurs who are building the Unity Gardens. So the Unity Gardens are intended to be established in each local community across our global network, most likely starting in Africa, but also here in North America, Turtle Island, and beyond in Asia and Oceania as well. So this process of establishing the local INAB collaboratives is done by taking part in what we call the Abraham Project, where we plant trees of peace and reconciliation and do ceremonies. This all started Sunday, June 5th on the World Environment Day of this year, but continues throughout the planting seasons locally, wherever we are. Some communities will also establish twin trees of peace and reconciliation, twinned Unity Gardens, and twinned INAB collaboratives as well. So the twinning or thrinning or even quadrinning or more will be done through our CTP program, which is a process of twinning the local community Unity Garden humanitarian enterprises, twinning the local community INAB collaboratives. So we're building here a global network of local INAB collaboratives, where all of the members in each local community empowerment network will be interconnected, watching over, talking to each other at the global level, where each local INAB collaborative will have a diverse set of members from 7 different sectors of every community: public, private, civil society, academic, interfaith, finance, and orange economy, or the creative sector. So all of these members will also be watching, promoting, and helping each other, supporting the local female and feminist humanitarian entrepreneurs in all of our local communities, who will be empowered by all of the members of the Global Unity Network, where all activities are also intended to be transparent, and all members of the global network, including all members of local INAB collaboratives, will also be accountable to and for the success of the local collaborative Unity Garden humanitarian enterprise in each of their own local communities. Again, in the chat, you'll find some additional related networks, as we call this. It is a network of networks. So there are a number of different groups on social media right now, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and WhatsApp, but they will eventually all come together. So the INAB collaboratives, we are establishing at the local level. We're leveraging our process of community engagement is done initially through the Tree of Peace and Reconciliation tree planting and flag raising ceremonies of the Indigenous Unity flag. This is followed by ongoing community engagement and interaction through regularly scheduled events throughout the year, including the coordinated bubble fun festivals and sports and dancing and arts done in collaboration with the local INAB collaborative members, the CTP program for twinning the community activities, such as the community organized tree planting or the local regenerative and public community infrastructure development projects and events, the Tea Diplomacy Initiative, which is both in-person and virtual community conversations on topics like peace, regeneration, reconciliation, and forgiveness, along with the Dream Boards Initiative done in collaboration with the C4 group members and others. We also have a process of identification and engagement with local talent, artists, and creative people in the orange economy for the purpose of promoting and showcasing their talent, but especially as they promote their art through the globalization of the global goals, promotions, and the achievement of a productive, compassionate, collaborative, regenerative economy that leaves no one behind. So during any one of our periodic Sunlight Spectacle events or any other edutainment events that we may do throughout the years moving forward. So any other programs or activities that may be developed in the context of the Climate Smart Gardens and Forests and the Climate Smart Kitchens and the Wheel of Life Farms and the CSAP Centers, also known as Spark Learning Centers or Climate Smart Learning Centers, can be showcased during these various events. And so again, you'll find some of the relevant network contacts and links to these various programs that we do through UnityNet, for instance, the Open Fund Festival Network, along with the CPP program, Winning the Community. As well, you'll find, for instance, the Key Diplomacy Initiative and the very relevant links, as well as the Dream Board Network and the relevant discussion groups. So the Grandmother's Bubble Fund Multicultural Festival is something I would like to mention again. In 2023, we want to have some international representation at this multicultural festival that we'd like to host here in the city of Markham as well. So the Bubble Fund Festival would take place in August 2023, sometime between the International Day of Indigenous Peoples, which is August 9th, and World Humanitarian Day, which is August 19th. We'd like to have this as close to International Youth Day as possible. We need to do lots of planning ahead, including fundraising, which is why we're starting this discussion now. I will also have this discussion with the members of Drawdown Markham and our partners through the Community Climate Action Hub Collaborative Exchange Program. We also want to be talking to members of Hollywood North, begin creating youth empowerment music that helps to carry our UnityNet message about things like localization of global goals as ways to create a localized, productive, compassionate, collaborative, regenerative economy that leaves no one behind in all of our local communities. This idea of Ubuntu. We'd like to create a campaign in support of the implementation of UNDRIP locally in every community as well. This campaign would be taken into all of our local communities and society as a whole by helping to bring cultural education back into the schools. This event would be hosted by the Global Partnership for Regenerative Development, which again, you will find the link into the chat for this fairly new network. So there are some additional links to the public network and the main social media and the related UnityNet sister school working group, a discussion group, and network, Facebook and LinkedIn. You will also find our link to the Drawdown Markham Collaborative Exchange Program, which I mentioned, as well as our Drawdown Markham Business Network, which we had previously called our Human Resource Catalog. So the UnityNet International is focused on what we call values-driven digital and community transformation. So we do two main things. First, we focus on creating community partnerships for the ultimate purpose of facilitating the creation of the community-based cooperative humanitarian enterprise teams, consisting of young people and families in these local communities worldwide who are seeking to implement local regenerative solutions for achieving the global goals, those SDGs. Second, we're helping to facilitate the local establishment of this regenerative community UnityNet learning hub spaces in all of our local communities. So the community Unity Garden or Unity Hub spaces are places for educating and training young people and families in all of this local communities of UnityNet to become localized, regenerative, climate smart, humanitarian food producer entrepreneurs who will be delivering local solutions for food and climate and peace and social justice using the latest in controlled environment regenerative production solutions that can be integrated into any type of communities, whether urban or suburban or rural. along with leveraging a number of different digitally integrated social and business tools that facilitate both collaboration within the local communities as well as globally, along with facilitating local income generation for the local community members of our network, so they can become more resilient, begin to adapt to the changing global climate that's affecting their own local watersheds, and ability to produce abundance from their own local productive resources, including from healthy soils, clean water, and renewable energy. Now I'd like to get into a little bit of the nitty-gritty of what you see on the screen and what we're planning to do in each local community as we establish the global Unity Network, or UnityNet. I will use the example of the city of Markham, where I am, and give an overview of the structure of our network of networks. So the UnityNet partnership model is based on developing partnerships across these 7 different sectors of local communities. So the 8 partners in total, including local Indigenous communities. But the international exchanges will be mostly led by the schools, the universities, the colleges, and the school boards, working as a partnership between the educators via our GSSP, the Global Sister Schools Program, but not exclusively. The types of exchanges that we'd like to do can include between, for instance, healthcare practitioners or emergency managers such as paramedics, fire, security, police, all of which are part of the public sector or governments, along with various others as necessary as per local consideration and needs, including partners in the other sectors like business, interfaith, civil society, finance, and orange economy, both within the settler and the Indigenous communities worldwide, as per local development pathways and the institutions available in the local community. So we have what is called an Interfaith Neighborhood Academic and Business Collaborative, or INABC, which is based on this HEPTA matrix partnership model developed by Drawdown Markham, where each local INABC comes together as a co-op and a member of our GP4RD to empower the local humanitarian entrepreneurs who are delivering the local solutions for achieving a localized, productive, compassionate, collaborative, regenerative economy that leaves no one behind. So here I give an example of the HEPTA matrix partnership that could be created in the city of Markham here in York Region, in the Greater Toronto area, based on existing local institutional entities. So I've given the example of the following partners, including the city of Markham as the governance partner, which will include all emergency management partners like hospitals and emergency services like fire and ambulance and any other city maintenance services. The Markham Board of Trade as the business partner, which will hopefully include most of the local SMEs and other local businesses, possibly including some multinational corporations and local members of the UN Global Compact. The York Region District and Catholic School Boards, along with York University and Seneca College, who both have campuses in the city of Markham as the key academic partners of the INAB Collaborative. But the academic partnership does not exclude any other public or private or online virtual schools who may have offices or employees in the city of Markham, and could also include non-governmental organizations and others like the Toronto Region Conservation Authority or other partners in education about nature and our local watersheds, like local naturalist organizations or any others. The Markham Interchurch Committee for Affordable Housing, or MICA, is an example of an interfaith partner in Markham. The Rotary Club of Markham Sunrise, one of a couple, the other being the Rotary Club of Markham Unionville, along with the Lions Club, the YMCA, Scouts Canada, even the Air Cadet Service of Canada, are examples of civil society partners where we do expect that our primary partner will be Rotary International via Rotary Ontario District 7070, which includes 55 Rotary clubs in Southern Ontario and has nearly 2,000 members. We hope that PACE and or Meridian Credit Unions, along with the big 5 banks in Canada with major offices in Markham, will become some of the finance partners of the INAB Collaborative. We'll also join our UnityNet finance network as we begin to deploy the regenerative finance systems throughout the network in communities that have established their own local INAB Collaborative cooperatives, which would be the primary way the financing would flow down to the local community organizations that are establishing the cooperative enterprises, implementing the regenerative infrastructure, and executing the UnityNet community engagement events and interventions. And where the Markham Arts Council is an example of the Orange Economy partner of the Heptamatrix partnership model. But this is not the end, because we would have at least as many partners from the local Indigenous communities, which includes those same 5 or 6 nations that we state in our land acknowledgement. So this may include representation from the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Wendat, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe peoples, where this partnership with Indigenous peoples is represented on the page by the heart at the center of our partnership matrix, the critical 8th partner of the INAP collaboratives, the stewards of Mother Earth that are critical to our future and human survival for at least the next 7 generations into the future. Again, I am putting in the chat some links to these organizations, as you see on the screen, which are important to the establishment of our local INAP collaborative here in Markham, but are also going to be used as a template for any other community to do such similar things. What I wanted to also do is mention that we will bring all of these partners together during our tree planting and flag raising and other local community ceremonies and activities, including formally commemorating and celebrating the establishment of the Youth Peace Gardens on any one of the dates that have been planned in our UnityNet Living Room calendar. We'll ask that all of these organizations and institutions that have been invited to these events participate in those events, form and join in a local INAP collaborative cooperative business organization. So the mandate of the INAP collaborative is simple. Do your best to empower any and all local female and feminist humanitarian entrepreneurs to ensure they succeed in their local cooperative enterprise, starting with the establishment of the local community Unity Garden Learning Center, or the community hub, which will deliver the various goods and services and the local regenerative and climate smart foods, and will ensure that they can implement solutions and achieve the global goals locally, starting with the SDGs in ways that leave no one behind. What's shown on the screen here is just one example of an INAP collaborative cooperative empowerment network for what is known as the City of Markham, or region Greater Toronto area, here in the Great Lakes watershed of Lake Ontario, Canada. However, we have actually 25 municipalities in the Greater Toronto area, and each one of them can have an INAP collaborative, where right now we have a placeholder for Markham and Mississauga, where I would like to aim to have at least 5 INAP collaboratives in the Greater Toronto area by the end of 2023, as shown on this page, with the others most likely to be established in the cities of Vaughan and Richmond Hill, City of Toronto, which may actually have many local INAP collaboratives, because it is a large city, possibly coinciding with the 4 major watersheds in the city, including the Humber River watershed in the west, along with Mimico and Etobicoke rivers, the Don River watershed in the heart of Toronto, and the Highland and Rouge River watersheds in the east, along with part of the Petticoat River watershed as well. And so there are 20 more municipalities, and thus 24 more possible INAP collaboratives that can be created in the Greater Toronto area. They are listed on the screen. My hope and wish is that every one of the 9 municipalities of the region of York, starting of course with Markham, Vaughan, and Richmond Hill, as mentioned, but also Newmarket, Aurora, East Gwillimbury, Georgina, King, and Witcher-Stouffville as well will create their own local INAP collaboratives. And so I will now move my presentation forward and talk about our UnityNet International Plan for 2023, which revolves around 4 key community engagement events in 2023, in April, June, August, and October, including UNDRIP Day on Earth Day, April 22, 2023, an event proposed by Mitch Gold that will include a drumming ceremony at city halls across the Greater Toronto area and in many municipalities as we can range. Hopefully can be done at a minimum at Markham City Hall, Vaughan City Hall, Mississauga City Hall, Toronto City Hall, and perhaps a few others. At this event, we hope to begin working with local students and teachers at various local schools and have the young people from these schools announce, plan, and establish these youth peace gardens all across the Greater Toronto area, starting at their local schools, but also in other public and private properties across each of our local communities. This will lead us to the second event on World Environment Day, June 5th, 2023. We'll do our Abraham Project Tree of Peace and Reconciliation tree planting and flag raising ceremonies, just like we did earlier this year in Mississauga, Ontario, to the west of downtown Toronto, in a park just north of Lake Ontario, and at a dance studio, whose owner is a member of City UNESCO. This year, we hope to have some membership and sponsorship and plant in multiple locations across the Greater Toronto area. We want to do this in parks and at schools and on private properties, especially of the various UNGC member organizations, in order to formally establish the Youth Peace Gardens in as many as 25 local regional municipalities, as mentioned, in the Greater Toronto area. We hope to do the ceremonies with not only the students and the teachers in schools, but also with the local Rotary clubs and their members, the local Chamber of Commerce, the local interfaith organizations, the local dance groups, the local NGOs, and various other types of community organizations, like the Scouts and the YMCA and the Lions Club, and the 4-H clubs and the Boys and Girls Club, and hopefully more. This will be when we will get pledges for all of those people in attendance that will commit to establishing a local INAB collaborative as a registered multi-stakeholder cooperative organization in their own local community in order to empower the young people to begin learning about and implementing all of these various localized, regenerative, climate smart infrastructure and humanitarian entrepreneurship solutions here in the local communities of Canada. At this time, we'll also encourage the youth and the students and their teachers to work together to begin thinking about creating their own local collaborative humanitarian enterprises. And what they will do in their own local community Unity Garden learning centers that might actually, what they might actually look like, where these community unity gardens and peace centers and unity eco-villages might be built within the context of their own local watersheds, and what sorts of humanitarian programs and businesses and organizations can be hosted within those unity garden spaces. So once we establish the youth peace gardens with these young people, we can then start planning for August and the first regional Bubble Fun festivals, which can take place between the International Day of Indigenous People on August 9th and World Humanitarian Day on August 19th. We'd like the event to happen as close to the International Youth Day on August 12th as possible. During the Bubble Fun Festival, we can come back to the youth peace gardens that the young people established at each of their schools and in each of their own neighborhoods and have fun, display art, do dancing, play Bubble Fun sports, have musical performances, serve local foods that reflect their diverse community, learn about local solutions to achieving a net zero community, and eventually achieve drawdown locally. This is the time when we also bring together all the members who came out for the tree planting and ensure that they're meeting regularly to talk about the local solutions and how to empower these local young people to ensure they and their local humanitarian enterprises are successful, especially as they begin planning to build the very first UnityNet Unity Garden Learning Centers here in the city of Markham and or York region in the Greater Toronto area of Ontario, Canada, here in the Great Lakes region. And this leads us finally to our final event of the year, which will be one that takes place in October, where we host a hybrid in-person and virtual Climate Smart Youth Forum event done at one of our local institutions, such as Seneca College or York University or the University of Toronto. Or perhaps we can have different events at different schools on different days during this Youth Peace Week, which takes place between Global Cooperation Day, October 4th, and World Food Day, October 16th, where the members of UnityNet GTA and all of our INAB collaborative members will also do in-person and virtual regenerative climate smart solution presentations and professional lectures and edutainment shows during the nearly 2 weeks between those dates. So our UnityNet Global Climate Smart Youth Forum could include a variety of hybrid in-person and virtual events that also promote and generate entrepreneurial ideas related to the localized delivery of humanitarian solutions for achieving the global goals by leveraging our Science for Peace Regenerative Climate Smart Food program, and also the establishment of the local community youth peace gardens, the engagement with UNGC members in our local communities, both of the GTA and Ontario and across Canada, engagement with schools in our local communities, engagement with all other sectors of the HEPTA Matrix Partnership template locally here in the GTA. So during our meeting of Drawdown Markham that just happened on the previous Tuesday, we already started planning about how we can approach various local community developers and organizations so we can begin planning for the establishment of the local community youth peace gardens, and then engagement with UNGC members in our local communities, especially again here in the GTA and Ontario and across Canada, and engagement with schools in our local communities. Also engagement with all of the other members in the community who represent the various sectors of the HEPTA Matrix Partnership template of Drawdown Markham locally here in the Greater Toronto area. So we will also need to discuss two key projects that I want to focus on in 2023. The first is the establishment of an eco-village center of excellence in Ontario, possibly in the Ottawa Valley in Eastern Ontario, but this may become a network of eco-villages demonstration projects where we can work with organizations here in Ontario and across Canada who can each demonstrate some of the various different components, especially showcasing 5 different open source regenerative climate smart infrastructure solutions that can be deployed in our local communities at the Eco-Village Center of Excellence, which will likely be operated by the Maui Aloha project, which will be working in partnership and synergy with all of the organizations of UnityNet for the benefit of all of our local community members. The second project is related to the creation of a Markham, York Region, and GTA INAB collaborative, or collaboratives across all of York Region and Greater Toronto area, who can support the 407 Transitway Corridor projects, the 16 possible future projects that York Region may establish across York Region and the Greater Toronto area from east to west along the Highway 7 407 Transit Corridor, where York Regional member Jim Jones, who was just re-elected to his 5th term in office, wants to establish commercial vertical farming demonstration projects in each one of the transit hubs across the GTA, and where the local collaboration for the INAB collaborative will also support all of the schools in the region and beyond to join the Global Sister Schools program, where I want to also stress that each of these local gardens and projects and events can be twinned with the garden project or event that is done here and can be done anywhere else in the world. This is done through the CTP program of Drawdown Markham's Community Climate Action Hub. So again, you will find additional information in the chat for everybody to learn more about the CTP program and some of the different administrators and people on that network, including myself and a gentleman by the name of Patrick Parra, who actually is in the Democratic Republic of Congo. So I do want to remind everybody the UnityNet initiative is not led by the governments. It's not led by the schools. It is led by the members of the multi-stakeholder partnerships, the local INAB collaboratives, who are intended to be created in all local communities with all local stakeholders, where each of the stakeholders have a voice at the table about how the local community projects have moved forward in each of our own local communities, where the local projects are led by the local women and girls along with the men who support them as feminists. So the most important thing to do in UnityNet is to help people establish the local INAB collaboratives. So UnityNet International will then help to bring all the members of local INAB collaboratives globally that are created in each local community into a single universal safe space on the web that we call the Interchange for Peace VCN, So this is the reason for our tree planting ceremonies, planting those trees of peace and reconciliation, and the reason we create youth peace gardens with the trees of peace and reconciliation, and unity, Indigenous unity flags and the peace bowls. This is part of the Abraham project, which is now ongoing. Will continue progressing forward. The INAB collaboratives are the centerpiece of the Global Unity Network, which is our network of networks, consisting of the local INAB collaboratives working together to uplift and empower the local female and feminist humanitarian entrepreneurs who are localizing the global goals. Remember as well that in each community, there are 8 different sectors representing families at the local level, where the realms of these sectors include the public, private, civil society, academic, interfaith, finance, orange economy, and Indigenous communities, wherever we are, inclusive of the African diaspora. The INAB collaboratives will be led by the women in the local community, working together with their feminist counterparts, us men, who will also work closely with the NGOs and CSOs who are already on the ground, and with the community members who will know what is actually happening in the community and among the families who are living there. And all of the INAB collaborative members will be tasked with watching and helping each other as per Ubuntu and supporting the local female and feminist entrepreneurs in the local community, who will be empowered by all of the members of the global network, where all activities are also intended to be transparent. All the members of the global network, including all members of the local INAB collaboratives, will be accountable to and for the success of these local humanitarian enterprises, starting, of course, with the community Unity Garden Humanitarian Enterprise, or community hubs, where our vision is a global, peaceful, localized economy that will also be led by the women and men who understand the power of partnerships as per SDG 17. Instead of only competition and fighting and war with each other and over resources, where the earth has an abundance, but we are still limited and not equally, where these resources are not equally distributed on all continents and each local community. This is why fairness and access and equity matters as we seek to leave no one behind. So one final note as well, before I conclude today's presentation, we are quite interested in remote communities, especially Indigenous roadless communities. For instance, here in Canada, in terms of applying our UnityNet Unity Hub model, initially as pilot projects here in Canada, possibly partnered with some similar projects in Africa or on other continents through the CTP program. One potentially key organization that we, UnityNet International, would like to partner with is the Voyageur Aviation Corporation, a Canadian corporation that is also a UN Global Compact member. Why this particular one? Because the pathways that we would like to also discuss within UnityNet Canada and with our partners around the world include topics such as developing a regenerative ecotourism model that can also be used by local communities anywhere worldwide, and integrating the delivery of healthcare and holistic wellness services to remote and Indigenous communities, both in Canada and globally, and possible pathways to distributed carbon negative sustainable biofuels development to eventually replace fossil fuels, and that can help to provide income and empower local Indigenous and re-Indigenized communities, while also helping to advance biodiversity in these local watersheds worldwide. So thank you all for your patience during this long presentation. This concludes my presentation for today. I do like to open the floor again to any questions or comments about today's final presentation of 2022 as we head into the new year.
Okay,
So
thank you, Lloyd. Thank you very much. And I do want to thank you for mapping out this extensive plan of action. I do want to ask if before next month's event or next week's event, if you could take the time, and I know it's going to be time consuming, but you have over 70 items in the chat. If at all possible, I don't know if you copied and pasted them from your OneNote or from other source. However, if you could perhaps just, again, create a document that has all of the references that you can then upload to SlideShare or other means, so that when we're having these events, we can actually share that link with the people on the Facebook group chats, etc., so that they can take away very valuable information. That's what I would ask you to consider.
Yes, no, of course, I'm intending to do it every week as we do this, of course. As I actually do a presentation, as opposed to just having our guest speaker on, which doesn't lend itself to creating such documents, because I don't have necessarily that.
Well, technically, Lloyd, I have to disagree to some extent. What I mean is that your own presentation itself is where you pull the information for the chat. So all I'm asking you to do is prepare that information, which, as you said, in most cases is very similar and might require small editing changes as you go forward. But once it's done, like today, for example, then this provides you a template that can be easily edited and not be so time consuming moving forward. But I see that Nala Suleiman has her hand raised, she has her hand raised, and I see Doris has joined us as well as Fuhara. So perhaps, Lloyd, you could introduce our guest, and please, if you can, briefly show your video to our global audience. We'd appreciate that. And make sure your contact information is in the chat. Back to you, Lloyd.
Thank you, Andrew. And yes, I have made a note on action task. I will do that hopefully later today, or I have a few days where I don't have too much to do. We are heading, of course, into the new year, and also my wife is not working at this time anyway. So she happened to work yesterday, one day for this week, and that was it.
Okay, Nala, your hand is raised. Would you like to unmute yourself and make your comment or statement? Nala Suleiman?
Yes, hi, Mr. Andrew and Mr. Lloyd. Thank you so much for the great effort during this year. I would like to congratulate you as well. The African issues. Now I'm ambassador of African Federation of the Critical Care Nurses. So that means all the African training projects regarding the health, we will collaborate at the Federation, because we will be covering the 54 countries. So like it will be for you as a reference, as if sometimes you want us to do an assessment and to carry out with you the project that you have a grant for it, or you fund it from your own plan of project as well. By the end of it, we will be covering all the rural areas, the problems of the mother-child health, to inject this new technology for the remoting area, and all your plan, it will be achievable. And I wish you happy new year. Million thanks, Mr. Andrew, for this networking.
Thank you so much, Nala. We will, of course, continue to have our conversations as we move forward to integrate, as we call in the community hub model, the health centers, which we can also hopefully establish at every one of these Unity Gardens.
Yes, thank you so much, Nala. You'll find in the chat my own contact information. So I would appreciate it if you would email me that information or link, or let us connect on WhatsApp so that we can move this forward. Thank you so much, Nala. Back to you, Lloyd.
Yes, so if there are any other comments or questions for today, please feel free to unmute yourself and or raise your hand. If there are others who wish to contribute to our moving forward with the plans. This has been an exercise, interestingly enough, where we began through an international collaboration with a member in Sierra Leone who took interest in our tree planting when we did our first tree planting, the Tree of Peace and Reconciliation, back in 2019 with partners in Bermuda. And this gentleman in Sierra Leone, his name is Carlos Sancos said, "Oh, this is a very interesting way of engaging communities in these conversations around sustainable development. Can we perhaps do some collaboration where we can plant those trees here in Sierra Leone in different marginalized communities?" And so from there, we began developing a network based on the conversations we were having with him. And so he is now the Grand Master of UnityNet Africa and Diaspora. He is helping to put together a network on that continent among a number. I believe we have at least half of the countries of Africa now represented within UnityNet Africa and Diaspora as a network of networks of local or regional, say, country chapters across that continent, where we're hoping to eventually as well establish all of these INET collaboratives in each local community. And of course, this will potentially cause this network to balloon beyond the simple management we have today, which is why it's so necessary for us to eventually get on to this, what we call Interchange for Peace, BCN, and have some proper management for this global network, which I believe could, has the potential, become rather large.
Well, having said that, thanks everyone for joining us. And unless there are any closing thoughts, this will be the end of this session. Thank you so much for attending. Now is the time to speak or forever hold your peace. Okay.
Thank you, Andrew.
Happy Kwanzaa. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Really appreciate your being with us. And thanks also to our Facebook audience.